welcome back to my channel. This is Becky, and I just wanted to kind of start off this one on a little fun side note that did anybody else's grandma ever wear like these cute comfy muumuus? Like, I used to always be like, dang, I wish they had those in my size, and look, they do. I just wanted to be a little funny because if you were coming over from my Instagram, normally I create like my own energetic marketing, and so I usually take a picture of a new video, my new outfit, maybe my hair that day, makeup that day, and then I post it over on Instagram to get the attention to come on over here and actually engage with me, interact. And so the picture I posted today was actually of me in my yoga outfit. And so I'm sure I will get plenty of comments about how that was inappropriate for me to be wearing my yoga outfit on the air. I'm trying to get used to this whole what's it like to be a woman where everybody tells you what to do and what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear, Anyway, I'm in this really cool stage of life where I'm getting to shed all of the shoulda, coulda, wouldas and get to focus on what is now and what I'm building for the future. And it's just interesting. You know, so many people have so many different things at the grandma stage of life, or what that means. And I'm sorry, but this just means I get to live out the second half of my life enjoying every minute of it, because I don't have, the stress that the parents have, and I've been in their shoes, which is why I always want to try to partner up with the parent, because I understand what it's like to be in their position, and I understand that tension of wanting to connect, but that energetic, that spiritual boundary that makes it really hard for maybe sometimes communication to hit the target and land where it needed to. So sometimes you're going to feel like you're being bullied, right? And believe me, there are some times where you're going to feel like I'm bullying you, because of whatever wounds, whatever feelings. I don't know what triggers you've got internally. And my tone of voice, my demeanor, whatever it is fully used as a psychic medium by the spirit realm and the heavenly realms. So a lot of times when I'm not on camera, I don't really talk. I don't interact with people unless godly, orchestrated and divinely, intervention. I do believe every person that I meet is a divine intervention, because most people know that I want to change the world because I don't like being in pain, which is what my tribe feels. And that's why we're here together, to help each other build a community where we can all talk to each other and ask each other and say, hey, was this just me being oversensitive when he was joking and said this? Or was he really being a jerk? Like, was he really trying to hurt my feelings? Or was it just me, kind of like misreading the situation? So I created for my students, and I'll go ahead and tell you about it, is if you schedule a session and you feel like you want to talk about some bully in your life, this is what I want you to journal, so then that way you come to the session, you've got this information, because this is the kind of stuff that we'll be talking about. So bullying is unfair and one-sided. It happens when someone keeps on hurting, threatening, frightening, or leaving someone out on purpose. I know me, even today, I'm still being bullied by people because that was the algorithm that I was born into. And so I'm very aware of bully scenarios, and would be a very useful tool for being able to help you like brainstorm how to handle your situation. So you're going to want to of course, let me know that it's you and what's going on and who the other person is. Give me some background information, all right? Who exactly is being bullied? Because maybe you're asking me, was I being a bully in this situation? So you're going to give me that kind of information while you're journaling, right? You're reflecting and these thoughts. Okay, I want to know who you thought was the bullier in the scenario. And where did the bullying happen? I want to know the background situation, what the environment was like, where you were at, how loud was it, what led up to it. And then you're going to give me a brief description of what happened. You're going to, don't use generalizations. Don't just say, she said something mean. No, write down and if it was the F word, then write that down, right? Like, I'm going to want to know the details, because our memory is not very good once we kind of get away from an event, and when we think back on it, our story can change. And it's not because we're necessarily lying, it's just because the memory recall, that neural pathway wasn't wired, because it didn't think it was going to need to anchor in and retain that information. So it was just stored in a temporary location to be deleted, to create more space. So it's always best to do your journal like right after an incident. I used to keep a spiral notebook where I would log the date, the time, the location. Yeah, like I said, all the key players in the scenario, and a brief description of, and I know it's time consuming, but it's way better than you getting to a session with me and we only have a short amount of time, and you're hemming and hawing trying to remember, recall, and going, I don't remember now, maybe it was that way, but now I forgot because I've been stressed out about thinking about this. So this will help you prepare, get everything fresh right after an incident, helps you reflect and get your journaling going. And you're going to put also in there, is this the first time that this has happened? Because I'm looking at repeating patterns. So all of this information is kind of like filling out an investigator's report of the basics that I will need. And I'll be able to tell if you're giving me false information by our conversation. So just be truthful and honest, so that way I don't navigate you, in the right direction. Or at least I'm more like the scarecrow in Wizard of Oz, where it's like, you can go either way. So usually when the universe brings somebody to me, they're at a spiritual crossroads. Usually they're being tempted by the devil for something that looks of the light, but it's an illusion, and their discernment is not sharp enough yet to see maybe at that level, but they're close. And so I might have a little bit of sharper discernment to be able to help shine light. And it's cool because I have other people in my life that can do the same thing for me. I don't have the medical degrees, but I am very close networked with people who do have the medical degrees. So that way, when you're working with me, you're not just getting me, you're getting all my ancestors and my entire network and my support team, and all the wisdom and the wealth and the knowledge that they also bring to the table, as they are already empowered fully into their divine mission and established, and they're helping me get to be more strong in my signal and in my empowerment now that I'm able to transition from the roles within my family structure into now being an individual unit, free flowing, instead of being churned up within the systems. You're also going to want to put in that journal is who has been told about the incident that you're reporting. Did you let a teacher know? Did you let the police know? Did you let a counselor know, an aide, a parent, or someone else, a friend, a grandparent? No one, right? Like, I want to know, have you advocated for yourself? Because I can advocate to a degree, because this channel is a voice for the voiceless, and so I'm speaking out publicly on what kind of things women like us, and families like us, I don't want to just say women, but single parents and like us, are having to deal with when you don't really have a good nuclear family, and that the infrastructure in itself is collapsing, and you're having to figure out, okay, I'm obviously going to be the new branch of the family tree, and what direction am I going to take us? And so usually then the universe kind of partners you up with me, and then I kind of look and we problem solve, and then I will usually most likely direct you to, like I said, the using the systems properly. Instead of overloading and overtaxing the systems, I'm trying to help alleviate some of the pressure, because guys, we're going to have too many people that are going to want to sit at home on a disability check and just collect some money and live a comfortable life. But that's the life of the devil. Like, you still, even when you're sitting there, you could be writing a book. You could be making a podcast. You could be creating something productive, even if you are considered disabled, by the 3D world. Like maybe you have seizures, and so then you can't work a 9 to 5, and your medical, your doctor, you can't drive because, you could have a seizure. And so then medically you can't do things because we are unlimited conscious creators. However, the 3D realm does have some limitations. And so if you find yourself in a position where you need help figuring out, how to overcome some of those limitations, or how to open up some doors that have been closed on you, because closed doors aren't always no's, they're just a not now. And so sometimes you have to go back and re-knock on some doors and revisit some things before God will let you move forward. So life is a cha-cha, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You're always, got to be flowing with life instead of being rigid and going, no, I don't want to change. I don't want anything. I like it this way. And we can do that both in the bad times and in the good times. We can become so rigid and cling to what is. Like, this is never going to end. And guess what? You now manifested for that to continue and never end. It's because what we say really does have a lot of power. And what people don't understand is when you're walking into somebody's world for that 2 seconds that you just met this stranger, you don't know what kind of spell work's being done on them. So that snapshot that you got of that person in that 2 seconds that you just happened to talk with them in the grocery store, don't make a judgment on that person, because just if their hair is all like nasty and they got baby vomit on their shirt and they got some crust in their eyes because they just took a nap in the car for 5 seconds, like, you don't know what anybody is going through. So just always lead with kindness, love, grace, and leave them with a smile. I mean, even the people that, like, one time I was going into a parking space at a library and the guy was so mad that I parked in that spot, even though there was plenty of spots there. He was just impatient, and because I was actually confident where I wanted to go, I pulled right in and parked, and I didn't pay attention to what he was doing. He actually got out of his car and was going to assault me. So I had to lock my doors and keep my window up and be like, "What do you want, sir?" And he just started foaming at the mouth, cussing at me, all because I decisively and assertively parked my car where I wanted to park my car. And I didn't cut him off. I didn't take his spot. He just saw me, didn't like how I was, didn't like how I looked, and decided he was going to come at me. And that's the kind of world we live in, which is why most of the time when I'm out in society, I'm stoic. I am, what do you want? What do you need? I don't think so. Because men and women really do think differently, and you have to learn what environment requires you to be what personality. And people will say, "Oh, that means you got a mental illness." No, it means you adapt to your environment for survival to get your needs met, right? Same thing happens in the business world, okay? I have to work with people who don't like me, who want me dead, but because of my divinity, they can't kill me. Well, they could, but then they go too. So not a smart way to do life. I would rather collaborate. I would rather co-create. I would rather say, okay, what skills do you got? What skills do I got? What kind of concoction can we make? What cake? Like the 3 fairy godmothers in Sleeping Beauty, right? I think it was like the pink, the blue, and green fairies. I think those were the colors. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, put the colors of the fairies down there for me. The godmothers of Sleeping Beauty, Aurora. When they're making the birthday cake, I think it was for her sweet 16, and one's wanting it pink and I want it blue, and then next thing you know there's pink and blue all over and cake is everywhere, right? If you're trying to make a cake and your family is fighting over how to make that cake, and you're just like, "Oh dear Lord, please send somebody to help me." Anybody old enough remember the old Calgon commercials? It'd be a woman and the mom in the bath going, "Calgon, take me away." Well, guess what? I can do that for you. Well, a little bit anyway, at least in the moment, and then you can hopefully make changes you need so you won't feel as stressed where you need that break from life. Because the whole goal is to make a life that you actually enjoy and to make a living sharing your gifts with other people. And so, yeah, I mean, if you're interested in knowing more about the Holy Spirit, because that's what this is. This is the Holy Spirit working through me, source energy, keeping me active, updating you guys on the messages that I'm getting. And I'll keep putting tools and content out there for mental wellness and upliftment, and as well as child safety. I'm going to also have is a whole program on discipline and parenting, especially for more trauma-informed families that have generational traumas of abuse. And so we want to help you help your family be able to move forward in a healthier direction. So go ahead and like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so we can get this information out to more people. And I look forward to talking with you in the next video. Have a great day.